recent years, crossover SUVs have become of super high demand. And they've been selling like hotcakes, and every single car brand offers at least one crossover SUV model. And it's also worth mentioning that Japanese brands like Toyota, Nissan, and Honda, they grew from crossover SUVs. Crossover SUVs expanded in the North American markets, but it was primarily due to the Japanese brands. Because here's the thing about the Japanese brands and crossover SUVs in the North American market. Japanese brands were offering crossover SUVs that were reliable, better value for money, and that had overall better customer service. They had a better reputation overall. Yes, maybe in terms of identity, they were a little bit of a mystery that time, back in the day. So we're talking late 90s, 2000s, and yes, so on. However, lately the Japanese have been very successful in finding their own identity, and Toyota is no exception. They have found their identity in most of their models. Now, platform sharing is a very common practice in the automotive industry, and it's very good because it economizes. You save a lot of money in platform sharing, part sourcing, you know. So lots of the parts in this Toyota Yaris Cross is very similar to the Toyota Yaris, so there's no surprise in that regard. However, the Toyota Yaris Cross is a very special car to me because when I first saw this, I was amazed. I was amazed. Toyota is year by year expanding their model range, and that is amazing. And as a matter of fact, I think the crossover SUV theme goes very well with Toyota because Toyota grew from crossover SUVs, as I've emphasized. And well, this is the latest of their example. This is proof Toyota is adapting in the EU market. Toyota Yaris costs 34,000 euros. Is this good value for money or not? Let's get down with this review right now. Over here is your 1.5 hybrid petrol engine, guys. How economic is that? Super economic and super reliable. When I opened the engine bonnet, it took me 1 minute to realize the strut was actually there instead of being it here or something. And then another thing I've also noticed is that there's a bit of evidence that Toyota was doing a bit of production cost saving, because if you look at the engine, you think to yourself, it looks a bit buried, it looks a bit deep. And if you look at the components and everything, they seem a bit deeper than an average crossover SUV. And Toyota is not the first one to employ this tactic. This is a common practice amongst many crossover SUVs. It's part of cost saving. If you look over here, this is evidence that Toyota actually had to elevate the pillars in order to cope with the bodyworks of this Toyota Yaris Cross. If you look how deep this whole thing is, and this thing had to be elevated in order for it to be reached from the top. Yes, so it's quite good. I mean, to be honest, see, I own over here as well. And if ever you're under distress or if ever you have any problems, just reach out to the reliable Toyota Assistance. The Toyota Assistance is just as reliable as the Toyota cars. So this is the exterior design of the Toyota Yaris Cross, and I have to confess, it is absolutely stunning. This is what I call progress. Look at this, everyone. Look at this. This is just so Toyota. This is what I see a strong form of identity. In fact, when I look at those headlights in this shape, and then you see the Toyota badge, from this angle, it does remind me a bit of the Toyota Prius. A little bit. Like, I remember the Toyota Prius always had this headlight. I think that was the 3rd generation Toyota Prius. I think so. But it's very good how Toyota has gone about it. Very, very good. Now, the front has visual resemblance to the Toyota Yaris. However, if you look at it from this angle, ignoring the badge, like ignore the grille, focus on the badge and this top part. Okay, let's ignore the grille. If you look at it from here, like this, you think of the Toyota Mirai, because at least when I saw this from this angle, like when I saw this whole part over here and from up here, the first car that came in my mind was the Toyota Mirai. It's just interesting. Now the side view of the Toyota Yaris Cross. I am absolutely stunned, guys. It looks so good. This is what I call, it's so desirable. Like, look at it. I like how Toyota has gone about the wheel well. Like, look at this. This is very interesting. And I like the hard plastic that's over here. Very common practice amongst crossover SUVs. Saves the body paint in long terms. Very good. And I like how there's a straight line that goes parallelly with the hard plastic over here, and the straight line blends eventually with the design. I like how you get the line over here. The line over here blends eventually to the front, but then as you go towards the rear, it goes around the rear window. Now from this angle over here, I don't know if it's just me, but seeing this sort of design, it strongly reminds me of the Lexus. I vividly remember Lexus crossover SUVs did have a sort of rear light that had this shape. I'm not sure, guys. I think it is. Yeah, it does resemble Lexus a bit. And this is what I like about Toyota. They're really employing certain design aspects from Lexus. Now, just admire this Toyota Yaris Cross from this angle. It looks like a true 4x4 from here. I mean, look at it. This is just so Toyota. I mean, they are the types that would totally do this. And this is where the topic of identity comes, because Toyota grew from this, and it's very evident on this Toyota Yaris Cross. And over here at the rear is where you see prominent resemblance to the Yaris again. The rear light, very interesting, guys. Look at this. You do get a blind spot monitoring. How safe is that? First questionable aspect I'd like to point out is the grille. Now, the grille looks very good. I'm very impressed. But upon closer inspection, you actually get to notice that the top one, half of it is an air intake. So at the bottom, it does have air intake. But at the top, it's just hard plastic that has no purpose. Over here, you get what looks like an imitation of air vents, but actually it's just hard plastic. So it's just there for the aesthetics. But you see, when you see this sort of design, you expect an air vent, you expect some air intake over there. But unfortunately, in the case of this Toyota Yaris Cross, there's no air intake over there. It's just some lighting over here. Another questionable aspect I would like to point out is that usually most brands tend to hide their washers, their fluids, washing fluid spray for the windows, the windscreen. You know, they tend to hide it within the wipers, or they tend to hide it here, or they tend to, you know, put it somewhere at a less conspicuous spot. But in the case of this Toyota Yaris Cross, Toyota has opted to put the window wipers on a conspicuous pedestal right there in front of, yeah, it's like, and I'm just wondering to myself, isn't that a bit too conspicuous? Like, wouldn't you want to hide it a bit? But it's not so much of a big deal, and I don't even think this is something that questionable. But yes, another questionable aspect I'd like to point out is that this mud flap over here is too conspicuous. It's as if it has been added there as an afterthought. You know, and I've noticed this, it's a common practice amongst crossover SUVs done by other car manufacturers. And I don't know why they keep putting those mud flaps, you know, and maybe it would have been more interesting if it blended with the design. This Toyota Yaris Cross does not come with a 360-degree parking camera. Now, whether it's questionable or not is a bit debatable, because this Toyota Yaris Cross is based on the B-segment car Toyota Yaris. And for a B-segment car, it's not a very surprising thing to not see a 360-degree camera, because 360-degree cameras are more useful on bigger vehicles, whereas this Toyota Yaris Cross is relatively small, and so visibility shouldn't be any problem. And if you need help parking, you do have a parking sensor. The design of this Toyota Yaris Cross is amazing, and Toyota has stepped up its game big time. However, somewhere along the line, it did create a new questionable aspect. My hand is over here on the door handle, and I pull the door open, and I have this edge of the door that sticks out very proudly. Look at it. So every time I'm opening the door, it's almost as if it's about to hit my chest. Over here is the interior of the Toyota Yaris Cross, everyone, and I have to confess, it is absolutely stunning. Although it has very strong similarities to the Toyota Yaris, which is good. So over here you have your climate control, your infotainment controls are within the infotainment system, and you do get a JBL sound system. Sound enthusiasts, you guys are gonna love this. Heated steering wheel, and your boot door button. Oh, very nice. And your hood latch is right here. I like it, guys. Now that is very good. I like it when hood latches are like this. It's so neat and tidy. You also do get a wireless phone recharge, and you do get heated front seats. How amazing is that? You do get a micro storage area right underneath the air vents, guys. So it's right here. So this is the steering wheel of the Toyota Yaris Cross, guys. It's leather wrapped, so it's very pleasant to feel. Quite nice. And you do get a lot of buttons on the steering wheel. This has to be like one of the first times I see so many buttons like all together in one spot. This is so good though. I like it. I mean, look at it. So over here is your cruise control, and okay, this is a bit interesting, guys. So here you have your cruise control, but then right underneath there's some media controls. Okay, that's good. And then over here is purely media control. Oh wow, check this out, guys. You do actually get a panoramic roof. This is so cool. Wow. And you get your lighting controls right here. Nice sun visor and a mirror to see how pretty you look. Although you don't get the lighting to see how pretty you look when you're in the darkness. Okay, this is like a rare occasion I see this. Like usually most cars have a lighting over here to see how nice you look when you're in the dark, but no. In the case of this Toyota Yaris, this is the first time I've ever seen no lighting. Over here is your seating adjustment, everyone. You get your lumbar support, which is electric, amazing. And the rest of the seating adjustment is all manual. Nice door handle over here, it's quite comfortable, but can I tell you all something very interesting? Do you notice this, the bottom part of the door goes inwards, like this, diagonally, yeah? This is actually very smart from Toyota because they anticipated, they saw that there would be problems with people's feet making contact with the door, and through time it leaves a lot of scratches and such. So what Toyota has done was they kind of had this go inwards at the bottom so that your feet doesn't make contact with it repeatedly. So every time my feet leaves the car, it doesn't make contact with the door in majority of the cases. So that's very intelligent. I like how Toyota has gone about this design. Now I don't know if Toyota did it deliberately or if it's just a coincidence, but whatever it is, guys, it is so good. You get a wonderful armrest right here, guys. How amazing is that? And you get some storage in there. Now this storage space is rather small, so you can depend on it for your phone or for your cards or for your coins. And if you don't need this armrest, no problem. You can just fold it up. You do get a normal average sized glove box. It's not so deep, but well, I mean, I guess it's average for a crossover SUV of this segment. Whilst exploring the interior of this Toyota Yaris Cross, I was impressed, guys. I was really impressed. I was stunned. And first questionable aspect I would like to point out is the presence of some buttons, okay? Like just where they are located and the location of them. You see, for example, you do get your traction control button right next to the driving mode. I wonder why would it be there? Like, you know, wouldn't it be better to put this traction control button over here, isolated, and maybe put the heated steering wheel button right here? Like, for some reason, the heated steering wheel button is isolated all the way there, instead of putting it with the climate control buttons. I don't know why the heated steering wheel button is always there, but I've noticed this amongst other Toyota cars. They have a tendency to put buttons at separate locations. I don't know why Toyota does this, but reliability is guaranteed, okay? That's not the issue there, but it's just the location of buttons, that's all. Another questionable aspect I've noticed is the size of this door bin. Now, it can fit a big water bottle. I think there's a chance it can maybe fit one, but it's just so narrow, the entrance. It's just only one big entrance right here, and then for the rest of the glove box, it's for the rest of the door bin, it's almost not accessible. You know, it's just not accessible, and it's just so narrow towards this side. Another questionable aspect I've noticed is storage solutions in this interior. The storage space over here is good, but rather small, and also the location of those air vents are very inwards. Like, it would have been better if they're more exposed, like a bit front, but it's not a big deal. It shouldn't be fine. It should be fine. But then also, for some reason, there's no smart feature over here. Like, it would have been amazing if this whole thing opened for extra storage, or if something was here, you know, some extra storage or something. But
Toyota has made no attempt to do any interesting thing with this area. They just left it there for the airbag or for the aesthetics. And there's no deep storage, everyone. Guys, like look at there. Over there, the glove box was a bit of average size in my opinion. And there's no central console storage basically. There's nothing. You get two cup holders of fixed sizes and that's it. Now let's move to the rear seat of this Toyota Yaris Cross. First of all, I have to confess how light this rear door is. It's such a pleasure, guys. Look at it, it's so light. Very easy to pull from here, guys. I mean, anyone, including a child, they can pull the door with ease, even with one finger. Look at this. Kids, there will be no need to depend on your parents all the time. You can close the door by yourself. So this is the rear seat of the Toyota Yaris Cross, guys, and I have to say, it's good. Like, I have a lot of leg room, well, although my leg is like almost buried right under the front seat. And then my knee room is good, although it's almost making contact with the front seat. And that, again, that depends on the adjustment of the driver's seat and the passenger seat. My headroom is amazing. Like, look at this, guys. It's endless. Wow. Over here, you get a rear seat pocket. That's very nice. Window button to open the window. Very good. And a nice little pocket over here that doubles the door handle. So guys, the rear seat of this Toyota Yaris Cross was amazing, but if you want me to be frank with you, I feel like the rear seat is a little bit empty. Like, it just doesn't feel very busy like the front seat. It just doesn't, there doesn't seem to be much going on. Like, for example, over here, there's no climate control whatsoever, not even an air vent, and the air vents are not even present on the pillar. So it's making me wonder, yeah, like there's no storage here even. No socket, no 12-volt socket, no USB point. Okay, it's just very basic. And then the door bin over here is basically a bottle holder. And it can hold a small water bottle, otherwise there's nothing else that can fit in there except some coins or whatever you need for a small storage space. On the front and on the rear, the door handles are of hard plastic. So it would have been interesting if it was chrome maybe or something, but Toyota chose hard plastic for the door handle. Now, it is durable, okay, fair enough, and yeah, it's fine. It does its job as a door handle, but aesthetically speaking, it would have been more interesting if it was chrome. Over here is the boot space of the Toyota Yaris Cross. You do get cup holders for the rear seat. Oh wow, I did not notice them actually. I'm sorry, my bad. And this has to be the first time I've ever seen proper tether points for a car. I mean, look at this. This looks like something you'd see on a pickup or on a utility vehicle. They actually give like actual tether points. Now that is so cool. You get a beacon of hope rear light, and you do get a 12-volt socket right here, guys. Very nice. And you do get a nice pleasant button to close this door at ease. Look at this. This sound always happens every time you close the door or open it. So it's good. It's like a reminder that this door is in action.
So here's my conclusion about the Toyota Yaris Cross. I believe this Yaris Cross is a very promising debut, especially for the small crossover SUV segment. So for a price of 34,000 euros, is this Toyota Yaris Cross good value for money or not? You want to know what I think? I think it is good value for money. It's not the best, but it is just good. I was impressed because you do get heated steering wheel, you do get a heated front seat, and also you do get driving mode. It was very, very decent, and also aesthetically speaking, it was amazing. Also, I was very impressed. You know, the design overall, it's very revolutionary. The reason why I say it is just good is because the storage spaces, the storage solutions in the interior were a bit average. Whereas in the rear seat of this Toyota Yaris Cross, I was under the impression it was ever so slightly under-equipped. There was not much going on in the rear seat. It was just very basic. Whereas the front was where everything was happening, and that was great. Now, the fact that the rear seat was a bit basic is a common practice amongst crossover SUVs which have the same platform as their B segment siblings, because this is to save costs. This is exactly why the price tag is low. And another and I also believe part of the value lies purely in the hybrid technology. This basically means better fuel economy when you drive. How amazing is that? And this hybrid technology is no ordinary hybrid technology. It's super reliable and it's super reputed. You cannot fault it. Toyota has years of experience with this, and if ever you do get a problem, you do get the reliable Toyota assistance. So you want my opinion of this Toyota Yaris Cross? I love this Yaris Cross. I really do. You know, I think this Toyota Yaris Cross is one of the most promising model released by Toyota lately. This is what Toyota has come up with, and I think this is a very promising start for them. It's very attractive to look at. Aesthetically, they've really stepped up their game. However, in terms of equipment in the rear seat, they could do a bit more, but it's not a big deal, guys. I still love this Toyota Yaris Cross nonetheless, and I think it's amazing. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos that are on the run. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to enjoy the interior of this Toyota Yaris Cross. Bye.